How you doing? So today we're gonna be talking about incursion hacks that Kabam nerf, or I would even say nerf to the ground. Okay, right now people are not happy about incursions. I know some people are complaining that it's harder than before, and it's really not that it's harder than before. It's because they nerf incursion hacks. Not only that, it's limited for some reason for single players. I think it has something to do with this right here. But you do, as we saw that we actually surpassed 13 billion points. But the problem is, I do think you need to have a minimum of 115,000 points to access to the hacks. So right now, when it comes to single player mode, we're limited to hacks. But for some reason, if you're playing with two player mode, you have more access to hacks. So I might have to use my free to play account to do a double incursion so I can have more access to hacks. I don't know what I want to do for sure, but this unfortunate. That's why people are not happy when it comes to incursion. And like I said, you need a minimum. It looks like 115,000 points to access the more hacks and extended zone rewards. I don't even know what that is exactly, but I'm not gonna force myself to do battlegrounds so I can get to 115,000 points. I'm just not gonna do that. So if I don't get the hacks, it is what it is. But it's disappointing to access this. We have to do like other things in the game that you're forced to play when you don't want to. So it is unfortunate. So let's go to incursions. I want to start off. Let's just start off in a positive note, I guess. So when it comes to defense cascade, I do think it's more balanced now. It's definitely better. I think I would even say it's better than it was before. But because before, if your champion is immune to buffs, they didn't have access to defense cascade. If you don't have any armor up effects, you wouldn't be able to use defense cascade. You needed armor up burst to and defense cascade combined. If you didn't have armor up built in your kit. So I do think it's better now. The reason why they nerfed defense cascade or the way they changed it is because of Angela. Let me just show you what defense cascade used to be. So before, when it comes to defense cascade, while under the effect of armor up buff, your attacks have a 50% chance to inflict a stun debuff for 3 seconds. When triggered, the chance is reduced by 30% for 10 seconds. The attackers are relic equipped. The stun can trigger through block. And trigger to block, that was so OP, I would say. And the reason why they changed defense cascade is really because of Angela. This pretty much one of the hardest fights in Incursion, okay? Keep in mind this Icarus has over 4 million health. And this is a 5-star Angela with 3-star Thor Relic. This is the reason why they changed Defense Cascade. So they can prevent Angela from doing this. Okay, as you see, I have no power whatsoever. The way I think Defense Cascade is more balanced now is you have to throw a special attack. If you can't throw a special attack, it's pretty much useless. So I'm actually fine the way they changed defense cascade so that more champions have access to it, and that I would say that definitely when it comes to defense cascade, it's definitely more balanced now. So let's go to the other hacks, and I want to say as well when it comes to entropic shield, I do think it's better. I would even say it's definitely at least balanced, if not above. So before you used to like when you block a well-timed block, you would inflict a bleed on the opponent. Now it's your second medium attack will inflict a bleed. So I definitely think it's balanced, or I would even call it a buff when it comes to entropic shield. So whoever came up with the idea when it comes to entropic shield and defense cascade really did a good job. It's really, I would say it's balanced. In some cases, you can even say it's buff. Okay, so I really think whoever did that did a good job. But when it comes to the other hacks, it's just they just got lazy. They felt like, okay, these hacks are too powerful for some champions, so we're gonna nerf them. So when it comes to at the ready, this is what at the ready is, and what let's take a look at what it used to be first, okay? So when it comes to at the ready, this is what it used to be. It used to start with a relic, okay? You basically, the attacking champion spirit god starts the match field. The attacker gain unblockable buff for 6 seconds. On the last hit, the striker attack plus an additional second for each damaging debuff on the opponent. When this debuff is applied, the spirit god field at the double the rate when unstoppable attack is landed. So this used to be at the ready, but Kabam felt like it was just too powerful, so they pretty much make this hack useless. I personally don't even know how to balance it. I think the way it used to be was just fine, you know. I don't really see anything reasons why they needed to balance this or nerf this at the ready. So let's take a look at the way it is now. So they pretty much got lazy. They wanted to nerf it. So I was like, okay, let's just get rid of the relic to begin with. Not only that, so instead of all damaging debuff, it's only shock, bleed, or rupture. Okay, you can only inflict 3 damaging debuffs now. Before it used to be all damaging debuffs. Okay, so I don't even know why I think they should have just kept it the way it is. I don't really see that when it comes to at the ready it was broken or anything. I think it was just a good hack. It was just fine. And let's look at special counter, and let's look at the way it used to be. Okay, or let's take a look at the way it is now. We're gonna take a look at the way it used to be, and we're gonna look at some gameplay when it comes to special counter. So when a ever a power sting is triggered on the defender, the attacker gains a 50% prowess buff for 10 seconds, max attack 10. While any of these prowess are active, the hits of the attacker's special attacks are possibly unblockable. So basically, they limit the max attack of 10. Before there was no limit, and then you were able to get 3 if you had a relic on. Okay, so let's take a look at what it used to be, and we're gonna look at some gameplay. So when it came to special counter, this was before they nerfed it. So whenever a power sting effect triggers, gain a prowess buff, increasing special attack damage by 50% for 10 seconds. Special attacks are unblockable while the prowess is active. If the attacker has a relic equipped, gain 3 of these prowess buff instead. So this is what they used to be. So they pretty much nerfed this to the ground because they limited it to 10. And not only that, instead of getting 3, if you have a relic, you only get 1 now. And let's look at some gameplay what it used to be. So this is pretty much pre-nerf special counter, and we're gonna take a look at special counter the way it used to be. So let's look at the gameplay. So keep in mind, this is a 4-star bullseye, not ascended, okay? Let's see. Pay attention to my power sting, okay? The power sting will determine how many prowess I'll get from it. So I'm going to inflict 19 power sting, and then Hulk is going to throw a special attack. So let's gonna pause it. Let's see. Hulk throw it. There you go. Pause. As you can see, I had 19 power stings. When Hulk throw a special attack, it pretty much triggered the prowess buffs. So 19 times 3 is 57. So that's why you see I have 57 prowess. Now you can only get 10 of them. Okay. So which is really unfortunate. Look at that. 10 compared to 57. It's just such a big nerf. It's pretty much nerf to the ground when it comes to special counter. It's really disappointing. So let's talk about how to balance special counter. Okay, let's look at special counter, how we can balance it. So when it comes to special counter, this is before they nerfed it, keep in mind. So instead of having this, right, like, okay, fine, limit to 1, okay, keep a max stack of 10, limit to 1, okay, for each power sting. That's fine, let's balance it, okay. But keep in mind, by nerfing this hack, it doesn't really help champions that don't inflict a lot of bleed, okay, or doesn't inflict a lot of power sting. So this hack, so basically all these hacks they nerf, it doesn't really do favors to champions that weren't really useful with these hacks, or that wasn't good in Incursion. So let's just keep it balanced. Let's make it balanced, okay. So how would I balance this hack? Okay, so fine, limit it to 10, max stack of 10, and 1 prowess buff for each power sting trigger, but make it permanent like perpetual offense. Okay, look at perpetual offense. Launching a special attack has a 100% chance to grant an indefinite prowess buff. Indefinite. Okay, so when it comes to prowess, perpetual offense, when you gain a prowess, it's actually 80%. 80%, and you get a max stack of 6. So it's definitely stronger than special counter, because special counter is 50 only. But to balance special counter, instead of getting 3 of them, right, and making a max stack of 1, or only getting 1 of them and max stack of 10, let's just make it permanent. Get max stack of 10 at increased special attack damage by 50%, max stack at 10, but keep it permanent, similar to perpetual offense. Okay, so that's one way they can balance special counter. So when it comes to title combat, it's also been nerfed to the ground. Okay, so look at it as now. Whenever non-damaging debuff on the opponent ends, the attacker has a 50% chance to gain a plus 50% fury buff for 10 seconds. Max stack of 10. Only up to 4 furies can be gained at once. So this is the way it is now. And let's talk about what it used to be and how we can balance this. So when it comes to title combat, not many champions can inflict a lot of non-damaging debuffs on the opponent. Okay, by nerfing the hack, it doesn't really help champions that doesn't inflict a lot of non-damaging debuff. So like I said, by nerfing them, it just makes it worse for the champions that didn't really benefit from title combat. So how can we balance it? So let's look at the way it used to be. So this is what I used to call the ultimate hack before they nerfed it. They pretty much nerfed every hack for Angela because she was just broken. So let's talk about title combat first. Okay, this is what title combat used to be. So whenever non-damaging debuff expires on the opponent, 50% chance to gain a fury buff lasting 10 seconds and granting plus 35% attack rating. If the attacker has a relic equipped, gain a fury, has 100% chance to grant an additional fury. You notice that every time it says when you have a relic, not all the new hacks, they're getting rid of relics for some reason. I think it has something to do with stats. What do you call that? Stats relic or whatever it's called now. That's why they're changing the hacks, so you don't need a relic for it. So they're making relics less valuable now for some reason. I don't know why, but so before it was only for a fury buff you only gained 35% compared to 50% for one. But before, if you had a relic, you were gonna get additional one. So you basically get 2 fury buffs. Okay, you get 2 fury buffs, and there was no limit to it. Okay, so first of all, if you gain a relic, so you gained 2 before, you get 70% increased attack compared to 50% attack the way it is now, and there was no limit to it. And let's take a like some gameplay. So this is the whole gameplay. So let's take a look at it and finish how it used to be. So it's gonna throw relic. You see that I have 42. I had 42 fury buffs with Hulk. Okay, oh, not with Hulk, with Bullseye, and that's not even the most I've ever gotten when it comes to furies. Okay, this is how much I used to. This is the most I ever got. Okay, so 64. This is the most furies I've ever got, and I think some people was getting more than that. This is because of hemostatic and title combat. So for you to get that many fury buffs, you need to have hemostatic, and you need to have a champion that can inflict a lot of bleeds, and that what Deadpool did. So keep in mind, this is a 5-star with class disadvantage, not ascended 5-star. Okay, look at that. Over 4 million damage as a 5-star, not ascended with class disadvantage. That's how much damage you can do with hemostatic and title combat. So okay, fine, I can see why they nerfed it because how powerful it is, right? But how can we make it more balanced? So other champions who don't inflict a lot of bleed, okay, that cannot inflict a lot of power stings, make this work, right? Because by nerfing the way it is now, it makes it pretty much useless. So let's talk about how to balance Tide of Combat. So this is pre-nerf, keep that in mind. This is before they nerfed it. So I think to balance Tide of Combat, okay, so keep it. So instead of not having a limit to Tide of Combat so it doesn't get out of control, uh, keep it at a max stack of 10. I'm fine with that to keep it balanced, okay? But instead of 35% increase attack rating, make it plus 50% attack rating. And if you do have a relic, gain Fury that has a 100% chance to get an additional one. So either they can just make it 50 plus 50% attack rating, and if you have relic, you can get 2 of them, but max stack of 10 only. You cannot get more than 10. That's to keep it balanced. Or instead, whenever non-damaging debuff expire on the opponent, 100% chance to gain a Fury to increase attack for 50 plus 50% attack rating, max stack of 10. That will really help champions that cannot gain a lot of Fury buffs or non-damaging debuffs through Tide of Combat. So that will make it balanced, I believe. Okay, keep it on max stack of 10, but increase the attack rating by plus 50% attack for each Fury buff, but you get 2 of them instead of just 1. Or instead of getting 2, get 1 is fine, but instead of 50% chance to gain a Fury buff, make it 100% chance to gain a Fury buff and get 1. Okay, that will make it balanced and keep it at a max stack of 10. Okay, so let's talk about the last hack they nerf. So we're gonna talk about the last hack they nerf, and I think when it comes to keep it going, it has such the biggest nerf. When it comes to keep it going, it has the biggest impact because it didn't matter if you're immune to buffs. You're still gonna be able to use keep it going, you know, the way it used to be. Okay, now they pretty much nerfed it to the ground, so it's really unfortunate. So now it is every 10 hits in the attacker's combat meter inflicts a 30% armor break, and I do believe this is based on your attack rating, not on the opponent's attack rating or something like that. Before it used to be opponent's attack rating, and we're gonna see what it used to be. So 30% armor break debuff for 12 seconds, max stack of 10. Potency is increased by up to 150% depending on how much higher the attacker's attack is the base value. Okay, so they did also nerf Bob Cornucopia. We'll talk about that last, I guess. So this is what keep it going used to be. So every 10 hits in the attacker's combo meter applies an armor break depending on the defender equal to of 60% of their attack rating for 10 seconds. The Spirit Guards deal a double at the rate when striking at the opponent under the effect of a non-damaging debuff. So they pretty much nerfed this hack to the ground. And I can understand why they nerfed it, I guess. Oh man, that's not good. I should have said that, huh? But this is what he used to do anyways. Keep in mind the way it used to be. This Rhino that I'm fighting, look at his attack. It's over 360,000, okay? Over 363,000. And you're gonna see Angela. why I guess they nerfed it because of Angela. No, not surprised. This is a 5-star, keep in mind, with a 3-star Thor relic, okay? And I want to emphasize this is not just because of keep it going. This has something to do with mostly because of buff Cornucopia, Tide of Combat, and keep it going. Okay, you'll see how many Fury buffs I have. I think I got up to 26 Fury buffs in this point. Okay, look at that, 93 million. Okay, and look at that, it was my 10th hit. It was my 10th hit. So basically, I don't know if you saw the armor break. It was my 10th hit that did the most damage because of keep it going, and it really had the biggest impact in the game. Because what was Rhino's attack? We can see it. No, let's just go back this way. It was 363,000, so 60% of that is about 200 and what? 12,000? No, 218,000, roughly about that. So yeah, that's a lot of armor rating reduction. 218,000. So That's why they nerfed it, is because of pretty much Angela. So how can we make it balanced? Okay, let's look at buff keep it going the way it used to be, okay? And we're gonna look at buff cornucopia last. So keep it going. What used to be, so let's keep it balanced, okay? So let's make it balanced. So every 10 hits in the attacker combo meter applies an armor break debuff on the defender equal to 10%. Right, that's right, 10% of their attack rating. So this is 60%, so obviously that's 6 times stronger, roughly. Not really accurate, but about 6 times stronger. Okay, so instead of 60%, keep it at 10% of their attack rating. Okay, the Spirit Guard feel double the rate when striking the opponent under the effect of non-damaging debuff. That's fine, but keep it at 10% instead. But instead of for 10 seconds, it should be permanent. Okay, so that seems broken if it was permanent. No, it's not. Okay, first of all, to get to equivalent to 60%, okay, for every 10 hits on the combo meter, you would need to get to 60 hits on the combo meter to inflict that. On a max stack of 6, keep in mind, max stack of 6. Okay, so let's try it again. So to balance it, every 10 hits on the attacker of the combo meter applies an armor break debuff on the defender equal to not 60%, make it 10% of their attack rating for indefinite. So it's going to be indefinite unless they can shrug it off, okay, like tenacity and stuff like that. So it's going to be indefinite, max stack of 6, but it's only 10% of their attack rating. Okay, so that means to match this damage, you need to have a combo meter of 60. Okay, or yeah, I think that's fair, right? Or pretty much close to 60. Okay, so by the time you get to 60 hits, your opponent should be knocked out, or there's a good chance, especially if you're an average player, you probably will never get to 60 hits on the combo meter, okay? Or 60 hits on the defender because their attack is so high. So I think it's definitely more balanced if they kept it that way. Or they couldn't just kept it, look at the way it is now. I could be fine the way it is now, okay? So every 10 hits on the attacker meter, keep in mind this is the way it is now. Every 10 hits on the attacker combo meter inflicts a 30% armor break debuff for 12 seconds. So instead of for 12 seconds, a max stack of 10, why don't they just make it indefinite? Okay, indefinite max stack of 10, and potency is increased by up to 150% depending on how much higher the attacker's attack is than its base value. So I'm fine with the way it is now, but instead if it's for 12 seconds, it should be indefinite. Of course, if the champion has tenacity built in, or tranquility also, you'll run into tranquility, this will get rid of it. But I think that's fair. Make it indefinite instead of 12 seconds, and then keep it at a max stack of 10. That's what I think they should have done with keep it going. And let's look at buff cornucopia now. Whenever buff gain, when it comes to buff cornucopia, gain another random buff for 10 seconds, max stack of 10. So pretty much what they did to max, the difference now when it comes to buff cornucopia is they limit to max stack of 10. Okay, but so many champions cannot even get to pass 10. Obviously Angela can and other champions, but so many champions that cannot even get to 10 buffs from buff cornucopia, this doesn't really help them. So how can we balance it to improve other champions that cannot get to 10 buffs from buff cornucopia? So instead of the chance for activate decrease, instead of getting a random buff for 10 seconds, make it to 15 seconds. Increase the buff duration to 15 seconds. And then the chance for it to activate decreases by 15% for 12 seconds, okay? Let's keep it at that. So simple. All they gotta do to balance it, okay, keep it a max stack of 10, but increase it, getting the buff to 15 seconds. I think that's it to make it balanced. So it's really unfortunate they nerfed these hacks, but I really think they should just kept it balanced. Like defense cascade, whoever came up with defense cascade to balance it, they did a really good job. Okay, I don't understand why they couldn't do that to other hacks that they nerf, like special counter, title combat, at the ready. What else? Keep it going and buff cornucopia. I don't understand why they couldn't find a way to balance these hacks instead of nerfing them. I would even say nerf to the ground. So that's it. That's how I would balance these hacks they nerf. Thank you.